Every journey worth taking begins with a reason, a purpose, a belief that there's something bigger than just the task at hand. But too often, when we set goals or try to change habits, we focus on what we need to do or how we're going to do it. We make lists, follow routines, and set deadlines. Yet somehow we still feel disconnected, unmotivated, or worse, burnt out. Why? Because we skipped the most important question: why am I doing this in the first place? The why is your core. It's the engine behind your actions. It's not about the paycheck, the promotion, or the applause. It's about the belief, the purpose, the cause that drives you. When you wake up in the morning before your feet hit the ground, do you feel pulled by something greater than your to-do list? That's your why speaking to you, if you're willing to listen. But here's the thing, most of us don't listen. We get trapped in the cycle of doing without understanding. We tell ourselves, I need to be more productive, or I have to get this done, without pausing to ask, why does this matter to me? That disconnect creates friction. It makes even simple tasks feel heavy, like dragging your feet through mud. When you talk to yourself for the next 21 days, don't just focus on what you want to achieve. Focus on why you want it. Is it to feel more confident? To set an example for your kids? To prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you've believed? Your why has to be personal. It has to resonate deeply. It's not about what others expect from you. It's about what drives you when no one's watching. Think about it. Some of the most inspiring people in history didn't start with a detailed plan. They started with a belief, a vision, a purpose that was so strong it pulled them forward, even when the path wasn't clear. They faced obstacles, criticism, even failure, but their why kept them grounded. So, for the next 21 days, start every conversation with yourself by asking, why am I doing this? And don't accept the first surface level answer. Dig deeper. Peel back the layers until you find the belief that lights a fire inside you. That's the why that will sustain you, not just through these 21 days, but through every challenge that follows. The way we talk to ourselves sets the tone for how we experience the world. Yet for many of us, the inner dialogue is filled with criticism, judgment, and impossible expectations. We hold ourselves to standards we would never impose on others, and when we fall short, as we inevitably do, we become our own harshest critics. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't come from shame. It comes from compassion. Think about how you speak to someone you care about when they're struggling. You wouldn't tell them they're a failure or that they're not good enough. You'd remind them of their strengths, their resilience, and their ability to overcome. You'd listen with empathy and offer words that lift them up. So why is it so hard to extend that same kindness to ourselves? We've been conditioned to believe that being hard on ourselves is a form of discipline, that it will push us to be better, to work harder. But in reality, that inner harshness often leads to burnout, self-doubt, and a constant feeling of never being enough. It creates a toxic cycle where no matter how much we achieve, it never feels like it's enough because the voice inside keeps moving the finish line further away. Speaking with compassion doesn't mean lowering your standards or making excuses. It means recognizing that you are human, and being human means making mistakes, facing setbacks, and sometimes feeling lost. Compassion is what allows you to navigate those moments with grace rather than self-punishment. It's the difference between saying, I failed, so I must be a failure, and I failed, but I'm learning and growing because of it. For the next 21 days, practice noticing how you speak to yourself, especially when things go wrong. Are your words supportive or destructive? Would you say the same things to someone you love? When you catch yourself slipping into self-criticism, pause. Replace those harsh words with understanding. Instead of, I'm so stupid for making that mistake, try, I made a mistake, but I'm doing my best, and that's enough. This shift in language isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about rewiring the way you relate to yourself. It builds resilience because when you approach yourself with kindness, you create a safe space within to process emotions, reflect, and grow. You stop fearing failure because you know that even when things don't go as planned, you'll treat yourself with respect and care. Speaking with compassion also helps you stay connected to your why. It reinforces the idea that your journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress and purpose. It allows you to celebrate small wins without dismissing them, and to face challenges without crumbling under the weight of self-judgment. And here's something powerful. When you consistently speak to yourself with compassion, it doesn't just change your inner world, it changes how you interact with others. You become more patient, more understanding, and more empathetic, because when you learn to offer kindness inward, it naturally flows outward. Failure. It's a word that carries weight, often heavy, sometimes crushing. From a young age, we're taught that failure is something to avoid. It's painted as the opposite of success, a red mark on the report card, a missed shot, a lost opportunity. We internalize this idea that failing means we aren't good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But what if that perspective is all wrong? What if failure isn't the end of the road, but actually the most important part of the journey? Reframing failure starts with understanding that it isn't a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of your willingness to try. Every person who has achieved something remarkable has one thing in common. They've failed, often repeatedly. Not because they weren't talented or prepared, but because they understood that failure is an essential ingredient in the process of growth. Consider this. When a child learns to walk, they fall dozens, sometimes hundreds of times. But no one looks at that child and says, well, I guess walking just isn't for them. We encourage them. We clap when they take even a single step. We see those stumbles as part of the process, not as evidence that the child can't succeed. Somewhere along the way, though, we lose that perspective for ourselves. We start to believe that falling down means we should stop trying. Reframing failure means changing that narrative. It's recognizing that every misstep holds a lesson, a piece of insight that brings you closer to where you want to be. It's understanding that failure is feedback. It tells you what didn't work so you can figure out what will. When Thomas Edison was asked about the thousands of failed attempts before successfully inventing the light bulb, he famously said, I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work. That mindset wasn't just optimistic. It was practical. It kept him moving forward when most people would have stopped. For the next 21 days, when you face a setback, resist the urge to label it as failure in the traditional sense. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What can I do differently next time? This simple shift transforms failure from a stopping point into a stepping stone. It turns moments of defeat into moments of discovery. But reframing failure also requires self-compassion. It means allowing yourself to feel the disappointment without letting it define you. It's okay to feel frustrated, but don't let that frustration harden into self-criticism. Instead, use it as fuel. Remind yourself that the people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to let failure have the final word. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. Chances are they weren't the easy moments. Growth often comes from discomfort, from challenges that stretch us beyond what we thought we were capable of. Failure is a catalyst for that kind of growth. It forces us to get creative, to problem solve, to build resilience. And here's the deeper truth. Failure connects us. It reminds us of our shared humanity. When you're honest about your struggles and setbacks, it creates space for others to do the same. It builds empathy, trust, and authenticity. We don't connect over perfection. We connect over the messy, imperfect, beautiful process of trying, failing, learning, and growing. So for the next 21 days, embrace failure not as the enemy, but as an ally. When things don't go as planned, lean in, explore the lesson, find the hidden gift. Because failure isn't a detour, it's the path. The words we speak to ourselves are more powerful than we realize. They shape our thoughts, influence our actions, and ultimately determine how we see ourselves and the world around us. Yet many of us go through life on autopilot, using language that limits our potential, reinforces self-doubt, and keeps us stuck in patterns that no longer serve us. We say things like, "I can't do this," or "I'm just not good at that," without questioning the weight those words carry. But what if changing the way you speak to yourself could change the way you live? Using empowering language isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring challenges. It's about choosing words that open doors instead of closing them. It's about shifting from a mindset of limitation to one of possibility. The way you frame your experiences, your goals, and even your setbacks can either propel you forward or hold you back. Consider the difference between saying, "I have to do this," and "I get to do this." One feels like a burden, something forced upon you, while the other feels like an opportunity, a privilege. That subtle shift in language changes how you approach the task. Suddenly, what once felt like an obligation becomes something to be grateful for. Or think about how often we use definitive limiting statements. "I'm terrible at public speaking," or "I'll never be good at this." These kinds of statements don't leave room for growth. They lock us into a fixed identity, one where improvement feels impossible. But when you reframe those statements to something like, "I'm still learning how to be a better public speaker," you create space for progress. You acknowledge where you are while also recognizing that you have the capacity to grow. Empowering language also means being mindful of the narratives we build around failure and success. Instead of saying, "I failed," you can say, "That didn't work out the way I planned, but I learned something valuable." It might seem like a small change, but it shifts the focus from self-judgment to self-improvement. It helps you see challenges not as dead ends, but as detours guiding you toward a better path. For the next 21 days, pay close attention to the words you use when talking to yourself. Notice how often limiting language creeps in. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't," pause and ask, "Is that really true? Or is it just something I've been telling myself?" Challenge those statements. Replace them with language that reflects possibility rather than restriction. It's also important to use empowering language when setting goals. Instead of saying, "I hope I can do this," say, "I will find a way to do this." Hope is passive. It leaves success up to chance. Intention, on the other hand, is active. It signals commitment and determination. That simple change in phrasing can shift your mindset from one of uncertainty to one of control and purpose. And remember, empowering language isn't just about positivity. It's about honesty with an edge of optimism. It's acknowledging difficulties while still believing in your ability to overcome them. It's saying, "This is hard, but I'm capable of figuring it out," instead of, "This is too hard, I can't do it." The words you choose create the lens through which you see your life. When you use empowering language, you start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. And most importantly, you start to believe in your own ability to grow, adapt, and succeed. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the person you want to become. Not just the version of you that's achieved a specific goal, but the person who lives with purpose, confidence, and fulfillment. What does that version of you look like? How do they carry themselves? What kind of choices do they make? Visualization isn't just daydreaming, it's a powerful tool that bridges the gap between who you are now and who you want to be. It helps align your actions today with the future you're working toward. The truth is, we often get so caught up in the grind of daily life that we lose sight of where we're heading. We focus on checking boxes, meeting deadlines, and handling responsibilities, but without a clear vision of our future self, we risk wandering aimlessly. Visualization acts like a compass. It gives you a destination to work toward, making each step along the way more intentional and meaningful. But it's more than just seeing the end result, it's about feeling it, experiencing it in your mind before it becomes reality. Athletes use visualization all the time. Before a big game, they picture themselves making the perfect pass, scoring the winning goal, or crossing the finish line. They don't just imagine the moment, they feel the adrenaline, the focus, the excitement. And this mental rehearsal primes their body and mind to perform at their best. The same principle applies to your personal growth. When you visualize your future self, you're not just creating a fantasy, you're setting a blueprint for your brain to follow. Studies have shown that the mind can't always distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's real. So when you consistently picture yourself succeeding, growing, and thriving, your mind starts to believe it's possible. It shifts your focus, boosts your confidence, and influences your behavior in subtle but powerful ways. For the next 21 days, make visualization a daily practice. Set aside a few quiet moments each morning to picture your future self in detail. Think beyond superficial markers like having more money or a better job. Dive deeper. What values guide your future self? What kind of relationships do they nurture? How do they handle challenges? What kind of energy do they bring into a room? And don't just focus on the highlights, imagine the journey. Picture yourself overcoming obstacles with resilience, staying committed to your purpose even when it's hard. See yourself making tough choices that align with your values. Visualization isn't just about the destination, it's about rehearsing the process that gets you there. As you visualize, pay attention to how that future version of you feels. Are they calm, confident, fulfilled? Let that emotional state guide your actions today, because when you align your current behavior with the mindset of your future self, you start to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Visualization also helps silence the inner critic. When self-doubt creeps in, when you start thinking, I'm not capable of this, return to that mental image of your future self. Remind yourself that the version of you who has already succeeded didn't get there by avoiding failure or waiting for perfect circumstances. They got there by taking consistent, intentional steps, even when it was hard. And here's the powerful part. As you continue this practice, the vision of your future self will start to feel less like a distant dream and more like an inevitable reality. It will pull you forward, acting as a source of motivation when your energy dips or when setbacks arise. You'll begin to notice shifts in how you approach challenges, how you make decisions, and how you talk to yourself. Visualization isn't magic, it's a tool. But when used consistently, it becomes a driving force that keeps you anchored to your purpose and inspired to move forward. It helps you see that the gap between who you are and who you want to be isn't as wide as it seems. It's just waiting to be filled with intentional action, one step at a time. In the fast-paced world we live in, it's easy to get caught up in what's missing, what we don't have, what we haven't achieved, or what isn't going according to plan. We set goals, chase success, and measure our worth by milestones that often feel just out of reach. And in that constant pursuit, we can overlook one of the simplest, yet most transformative practices available to us, gratitude. Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you or acknowledging the obvious blessings in life. It's about intentionally shifting your focus from what's lacking to what's already abundant. It's about recognizing the value in small moments, the lessons and challenges, and the beauty in the ordinary. It's a practice that rewires your brain to notice the positive even when life feels difficult or overwhelming. But here's the thing, gratitude doesn't always come naturally. Our brains are wired with a negativity bias, a survival mechanism that focuses on what's wrong to protect us from harm. While this was helpful when our ancestors needed to be hyper-aware of threats in modern life, it means we often dwell on problems, setbacks, and failures more than the good things happening around us. That's why practicing gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise. It's a deliberate act of retraining your mind to notice and appreciate the positives. For the next 21 days, make gratitude a daily habit. But don't just list the obvious things like health, family, or a roof over your head. Dig deeper. Notice the subtle moments that might otherwise go unacknowledged. The warmth of sunlight on your face during a morning walk. The way a friend's laughter made your day a little lighter. The feeling of satisfaction after completing a task you've been putting off. Gratitude lives in those small, often overlooked details. One powerful way to practice gratitude is through journaling. At the end of each day, write down 3 specific things you're grateful for, and be detailed. Instead of writing, I'm grateful for my friends, right? I'm grateful for the meaningful conversation I had with Sarah today that made me feel truly understood. This depth helps your mind relive the positive experience and strengthens the emotional connection to it. Another practice is to reframe challenges through the lens of gratitude. It's easy to be thankful when things are going well, but the real growth happens when you can find gratitude in difficult moments. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Or how is this helping me grow? Maybe a failed project pushed you to develop new skills. Maybe a difficult conversation strengthened a relationship. Gratitude in adversity doesn't ignore the pain, it acknowledges it while also recognizing the hidden value within it. Gratitude also has the power to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you start to realize how much richness already exists in your life. This shift doesn't mean you stop striving for more, but it allows you to pursue your goals from a place of fulfillment rather than deficiency. It helps you understand that success isn't the key to happiness. Happiness is the foundation for meaningful success. But perhaps one of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is how it strengthens connections with others. When you express genuine appreciation, whether it's thanking a colleague for their hard work, telling a friend how much their support means to you, or simply acknowledging a stranger's kindness, you create moments of connection and shared humanity. Gratitude builds trust, deepens relationships, and fosters a sense of belonging. And it's not just emotional, it's biological. Research shows that practicing gratitude consistently can improve mental health, reduce stress, and even strengthen the immune system. It activates the brain's reward centers, releasing feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. In other words, gratitude isn't just good for the soul, it's good for your body and mind too. Throughout the next 21 days, notice how gratitude begins to shift your perspective. You might find yourself feeling more present, less anxious about the future, and more appreciative of the here and now. You may notice that challenges feel a bit more manageable and moments of joy feel richer and more meaningful. Practicing gratitude is like adjusting the lens through which you see the world. It doesn't change the scenery, but it changes how you experience it. We live in a world where it's all too easy to focus on our weaknesses. From a young age, we're taught to notice where we fall short, whether it's a grade that wasn't high enough, a skill we struggle to master, or a comparison we make against someone who seems to have it all together. We internalize this habit of self-critique, often overlooking the unique strengths that make us who we are. But what if, instead of constantly pointing out our flaws, we took time each day to affirm our strengths, to consciously recognize the qualities that empower us, the talents that come naturally, and the inner resilience that has carried us through difficult times? Affirming your strengths isn't about arrogance or self-importance. It's about balance. It's about shifting the internal dialogue from one that diminishes your value to one that acknowledges your worth. It's giving yourself permission to see your abilities clearly and use them intentionally. Think about it. How often do you genuinely reflect on what you're good at? And not just the obvious things like being good at math or excelling at sports, but the deeper, more personal strengths. Maybe you have an incredible ability to listen, making people feel truly heard and understood. Maybe you're creative, able to think outside the box and see connections others miss. Or perhaps your strength is perseverance, the quiet determination to keep going when others would have given up. Affirming your strengths starts with awareness. For the next 21 days, take time each day to reflect on your unique abilities. Ask yourself questions like, what qualities have helped me overcome challenges? Or what do people consistently appreciate about me? You might be surprised by what comes up. Often the strengths that feel most natural to us are the ones we overlook because they don't seem extraordinary. But that's exactly what makes them special. And here's where affirmations come in. Once you've identified your strengths, speak them out loud. It might feel strange at first, but the act of verbally affirming your abilities reinforces them in your mind. Say things like, I am resilient and capable of handling challenges, or I am a creative thinker who brings unique ideas to the table. These affirmations aren't empty words. They're reminders of truths you already embody. even if you sometimes forget. Science backs this up. Studies on self-affirmation theory show that regularly affirming your strengths can boost confidence, reduce stress, and even improve problem-solving skills. It's not about ignoring your flaws or pretending to be perfect. It's about grounding yourself in a balanced, authentic view of who you are. Affirming your strengths also changes how you approach challenges. When you face a difficult situation, instead of immediately doubting yourself, you begin to draw on your internal resources. You think, I've handled tough situations before, and I can handle this too. Or, I may not have all the answers, but I'm resourceful enough to figure it out. This mindset doesn't eliminate obstacles, but it equips you to face them with greater confidence and resilience. Another important aspect of affirming your strengths is recognizing how they impact others. Your unique qualities don't just benefit you, they ripple outwards. Your kindness might brighten someone's difficult day. Your leadership might inspire a team to reach new heights. Your humor might bring lightness to heavy moments. Affirming your strengths isn't just self-serving, it's acknowledging the positive role you play in the lives of others. But this practice also requires self-compassion. There will be days when you struggle to see your strengths, when self-doubt creeps in, and your inner critic speaks louder than usual. On those days, affirming your strengths is even more important. It's like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. And over time, it shifts your default mindset from self-critique to self-empowerment. Affirming your strengths also helps you align your actions with your values. When you're clear on what you bring to the table, you make choices that reflect your authentic self. You pursue opportunities that leverage your talents. You build relationships that appreciate your contributions, and you set goals that resonate with who you are at your core. This practice isn't about ignoring areas where you want to grow. Growth is essential, but it's about growing from a place of self-worth, not self-criticism. It's about understanding that you're already enough, even as you strive to become better. Affirming your strengths gives you a solid foundation, a reminder that no matter what challenges come your way, you have the inner resources to face them. Over the next 21 days, notice how this simple act of affirming your strengths begins to shift your perspective. You may find yourself walking a little taller, speaking with more confidence, and taking on new challenges with a deeper sense of belief in yourself. And perhaps most importantly, you'll begin to cultivate a relationship with yourself rooted not in judgment, but in appreciation and respect. In the rush of our daily lives, it's easy to move from one task to the next without stopping to process what we've experienced. We set goals, work hard, and push ourselves forward, but rarely do we pause to look back and ask, what did I learn today? How did I grow? What moments truly mattered? Reflection isn't just about reviewing events, it's about extracting meaning from them. It's about slowing down long enough to connect the dots between where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. Ending each day with reflection is like giving yourself the gift of perspective. It creates space to recognize not only your successes, but also the subtle lessons that come from your missteps. It allows you to see patterns in your behavior, acknowledge your progress, and better understand your own motivations. Without reflection, we risk repeating the same mistakes, overlooking our achievements, and missing out on valuable insights that could help us grow. Reflection isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. It's not a time to beat yourself up for what you didn't accomplish or dwell on what went wrong. Instead, it's an opportunity to approach your experiences with curiosity and compassion. It's about asking thoughtful questions that help you gain clarity, like, what energized me today? Or when did I feel most aligned with my values? These kinds of reflections help you identify what's working in your life and what might need to change. One powerful way to end with reflection is through journaling. At the end of each day, take a few moments to write down your thoughts. Start by noting what went well, big wins, small victories, or even moments of gratitude. Then explore any challenges you faced, but instead of simply rehashing them, go deeper. Ask yourself, what did this challenge teach me? How did I handle it? What would I do differently next time? This kind of intentional reflection turns every experience, whether positive or negative, into an opportunity for growth. Reflection also helps you become more present. When you take time to look back on your day, you start to notice moments you might have overlooked in the moment. The smile from a stranger, the satisfying feeling of completing a difficult task, or the sense of calm you felt during a quiet moment alone. It trains your mind to be more aware, to live more fully, and to find meaning in even the smallest experiences. Another benefit of ending with reflection is that it reinforces your sense of purpose. When you review your day through the lens of your goals and values, you can see whether your actions aligned with the person you want to become. Maybe you notice that you spent more time reacting to situations than intentionally creating your path. Or perhaps you realize that a small decision you made earlier in the day had a bigger impact than you expected. These insights help you course correct and move forward with greater intention. Reflection also fosters self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on ourselves, to focus on where we fell short or what we could have done better. But reflection offers a chance to acknowledge our efforts, to recognize that growth is a process, and to treat ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a friend. It's in these moments of reflection that we can say, I did my best today, and that's enough, even if things didn't go perfectly. Ending your day with reflection also helps you let go. We carry so much mental and emotional baggage from day to day, regrets, frustrations, unfinished tasks. By taking time to reflect, you create a natural pause, a moment to process and release what no longer serves you. It's like clearing the slate before starting fresh the next day. You give yourself permission to set down the weight of the day, knowing that you've learned from it and can move forward.